I am a full-time university professor, and my job is exactly as sexy as it sounds. On most days, I read an ungodly amount. And when I'm not doing that, I'm teaching. And when I'm not doing that, I'm either grading, prepping classes, in committee meetings, or doing service work. And when I'm not doing that, I'm advising and mentoring students, serving the community in which I live, conducting my own research, all while trying to manage a full-time performance poetry career. In other words, I put in work. I love my job, though. On most days, teaching for me is a lot like one of those really complicated math problems where if Johnny had 7 candy bars and the train left Kansas at 3 p.m. going 90 miles an hour, how many basketballs can Johnny cook on a roof before the kids start smiling again? In other words, it's confusing as fuck, but I love how we come together and almost always figure it out. I had this one student who's as brown as the border that crossed her ask me if I think her white colleagues understand that her family had been trying to get her into college for generations. Wondered if they understood the weight of that, if they knew she picked this university the same way her grandfather picked fruit. Slow and painful, but what else was she gonna do? We spoke about why so many of her colleagues seem angrier with illegal immigration than with illegal banking practices. Fact, it would cost this government $63 billion to pay for everyone's tuition at public colleges and universities. Instead, they spend $69 billion to subsidize the cost and another $107 billion on student loans. With tuition is steadily rising and starting salaries are dropping for recent graduates, degrees are no different than a designer bag, a cheap fashion statement not even worth the trip to the mall. No one ever tells you that you have to drown in debt in hopes of making it to the shore, that the loan system is a lot like Alcatraz, like Rikers Island, like getting fucked while the guards don't even have the decency to pretend to look the other way. The difference between prisoners and student debtors is that students are taught to think they're on the outside of the bars. What kind of world do we live in where it's okay to bail out banks who are too big to fail, even though they bank on the failure of our students? What world do we live in where I, as a college professor, sometimes too struggle to pay back student loans? It's like I learned nothing from Biggie. It's like I'm getting high on my own supply, like I'm selling crack to pay down crack debt. But I am the American dream, all shiny and bright lights, beautiful, like pulled up bootstraps. Some days I feel like a wolf in sheep's clothing, like a shepherd leading his own flock to slaughter. I teach classes on structural racism and gender inequality in a system that is more willing to punish students for plagiarism than it is for sexual assault. What are we teaching our students when we tell them that the thoughts of dead white men are far more valuable than their own bodies? Students have become nothing more than Black Friday's customers whose pockets have been picked clean long before they ever walk in the door. In the university, it does not have time to worry itself about whose body gets trampled in the stampede of it all. But our black and brown bodies being here is a revolutionary act. We force them to peel back the curtains to a well-manicured show, to deal with the borders and the rape and the prison system and the racism it's all built on. We watch them squirm whenever we open our mouths because they know we are not satisfied with just getting into the tower. We want to claw the motherfucker down, and they should be uncomfortable with that. It ain't called growing pains for nothing. So, if Johnny boarded a train from Kansas with more than $170,000 in debt, leaving at 3 p.m., how long will it take for us to realize that cooking basketballs on a roof makes so much more sense than all of this?